this little pea popper
Oh.
coming up. I bought orthodontic rubber bands.
You are inventive.
And it works perfect. Yeah. I wasn't sure what poundage to get because evidently they have like tensile strengths.
Oh.
Because they probably start out light for people and then they go up. Yes. While they twist.
Well, that is some serious problem solving.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I can't glue it. Because then it wouldn't work. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Ahavat Shalom. So glad that you are here with us in the sanctuary, which is nice and warm. Unlike last week, where it was very, very cold. But it's nice and comfortable in here. Special welcome to those of you watching the live stream from at home or wherever you are. Rabbi Matt Berger, pleased to be joined on the bima with our cantorial soloist, Allison Rosoff, and down as always at the piano, our accompanist, Joy Katz-Guthrie. I'll invite you to take a look at the screens or pick up a copy of Mishkan Tefillah, Dwelling Place of Prayer, so that you can follow along. Through the years, there have been many leaders who have bravely fought for freedom, equality, and human rights. Moses, of course, the prophet and story read in the book of Exodus, beginning this Shabbat, helped free the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Through triumphs and trials alike, he guided the people to live in accordance to God's commandment and vision. Way back in 1963, some 250,000 Americans of all races, religions, and backgrounds marched with their brothers and sisters for civil and economic rights for African Americans and for the values that imbued and continue to imbue our nation, the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that, of course, is where the nation and the world heard the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s prophetic speech, "I Have a Dream." So this evening we'll remember Dr. King in both word and song, a great leader and a prophetic voice that continues to speak to us today. We're going to sing a song called "You Gotta Sing," and you'll find the words right there. It's a lot of fun. I'll invite you to join in. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh right along. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance right along. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta pray when the Spirit says pray. You gotta pray when the Spirit says pray. When the Spirit says pray, you gotta pray right along. You gotta pray when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. It's a beautiful spiritual, and in a more modern sense, Raffi, the children's musician, made a great version of that as well, just in case you're interested. Any ladies who would like to join us right here on the bima to light our twin Shabbat candles? You'll find the blessing on page 2.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace.
Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hamlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Let's say Shabbat Shalom and Yasher Koach. Well done for leading us.
Gorgeous.
Let's for a moment turn our thoughts towards Southern California and offer the prayer on the screen. Holy One, protect all those impacted by the devastating fires in Southern California. Lead them to shelter and safety. Give them strength to face any physical and emotional loss. Open their hearts to turn toward each other with love, compassion, and support. Provide shelter and security for the firefighters and first responders protecting these communities. Grant them strength and courage. Let them return to their homes and loved ones safely. Baruch atah Adonai Shomea Tefillah. We praise you, God, who listens to our prayer. We're going to turn to the classic Kabbalat Shabbat poem, Lecha Dodi, Come My Beloved, to greet Shabbat. You'll find the text on page 20 and 21, verses 1, 5, and 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we get to that final verse, Bo'i v'shalom, where we ask the bride to come in peace, we can rise and face one of the doorways to symbolically greet her. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabla. Hopefully by now you'll hear some Simon and Garfunkel in there.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אליך מיוחד.
Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
שמו תפארת ולתהילה.
Likrat Shabbat lechuvenecha. Ki mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nizuvah. Sof mahaseh b'machshavat hilah. Let's rise for our final verse. Boi v'shalom ateret b'hala, gam b'simcha v'sola, tov emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabla. Feel free to be seated. Please join me in a prayer for Israel. I have some good news from Israel that we'll talk about later on in the service regarding the ceasefire agreement. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. May you bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces and all who stand guard to protect our people. Shield them from all troubles and injury. Help them secure freedom without loss of life for all those held captive by the enemy. May they have strength and courage of heart. You'll find the words to the half Kaddish words of praise on 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בלמד יברח יוטב ימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן ישמע רבה מברך לעולם עולם ימיה יתברך Ishtabach, wird Ma'ar, wird Roman, wird Naseh, wird Hadar, wird Ale, wird Halal, Shemei de Kudasha Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'ama, v'yemaru amen.
Let's rise now, turning to Shema and its blessings and the call to prayer. Lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Please join me on 31 for creation, Ma'ariv Aravim. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv. Words of love, ahavat olam. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah teaches to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Sing, open up our eyes. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes. Teach us how to fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchutko Leolam Vayed. Feel free to be seated, and Alice and I will chant V'ahavta. Join along. You shall love Adonai your God. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol mildecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shitecha b'veitecha, u'lechtecha v'derech, u'shokbecha uvkumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem Meretz Mitzrayim Liot Lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim. Let's read some of the beautiful prose of Dr. King together. Free at last, free at last. Great God Almighty, I'm free at last. When will the time come when we can speak of Dr. King's powerful words and know that God's redemption is shared with all people? Redemption will come when each of us stands up for justice, when each of us helps shake off the heavy yokes of hatred, oppression, hunger, and poverty, when we'll see God's glory rise from every man, woman, and child. Words of redemption or Geula Michamocha is found on 36. Michamocha Bailim Adonai Michamocha Edar Bakodesh Michamocha Bailim Adonai Michamocha Edar Bakodesh Norati Lo Osei Belen Norati Lo Osei Belen Michamocha Bailim Adonai Michamocha Nedar Bakodesh Michamocha Bailim Adonai Michamocha Nedar Bakodesh Norati Lo Osei Belen Norati Lo Osei Belen Blessed are you, God, who redeems Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Another reading of Reverend King's. Feel free to join me as we prepare to sing words of protection. We ask you, God, in these days of emotional tension, when the problems of the world are gigantic in extent and chaotic in detail, to be with us in our moments of joy, in our moments of sorrow, until the day when there shall be no sunset and no dawning. Part of the Hashkivenu prayer of shelter is Ufros Aleinu, shelter us with your tabernacle of peace. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shelomecha, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shelomecha. Yalai, 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 Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shelomecha, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shelomecha. And we're going to go right to the tefillah, our standing prayers, which are found on page 46. Let's rise as we open our lips in praise, giving thanks for our ancestors, for our lives, our health, and for God's holiness.
Adonai, sifatai tiftaku fi agir tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avutinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Gadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chazarim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imot, U'mevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava. Melech Uzer u'Moshia u'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Atah Rav lahod Yoshia, Mashiva Ruach, Umarit HaGashem, Mechachel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim, Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayem Emunato, Lijene Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Benit Umechaye, Umatzmiak Yeshua, V'ne'emanat L'chachayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Michaye HaKol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue with a prayer for Shabbat on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Prayer that God's presence will always remain with us here and in Israel. Baruch atah Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato L'Tzion. And words of gratitude and thanks are found on 59. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov Shimcha Ucha Na'eh Lechodo. And a selection from King's writings that you can read along with me, written in 1963. In spite of the, there you go. In spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. It's deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation shall rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, and the glory of the eternal shall be revealed, and all of us shall see it together. He just had a beautiful way of sharing his own personal voice and weaving in words from the prophets and throughout the Bible. Allison's going to lead us now in Shalom Ra for peace.
Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Shalom, ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav,
Turning to words and a prayer of healing that you'll find on 253 Mishabera. Let's call to mind all those injured from the fires in Southern California, as well as all those recovering from wounds and the like from the fighting in Gaza. To their names, let's add the following individuals for healing, courage, and strength: Joanne Beeman-Fiddleman, Yonatan Reuven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Tina Bruns, Larry Kane, Tyler Chang, Kate Fagan, Heather Felser, Harry Fleisch, Mitchell Freifeld, David Freelander, Myron Graff, Don Hirschman, Joyce Holbrook, Jim Howard, Kathy Howard, Phyllis King, Irene Lipensky, Jerry Longerich, Jonathan Marks, Tova Marks, Michael Ranzino, Stephanie Ross, Angie Sermenis, Jeff Stark, and Carrie Taylor. If there are any names that you'd like to add now?
My father, George Stark.
Misheberach Avotenu Mikor habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing.
And let us say, Misheberach Imotenu Mekor habracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Amen.
Generations ago, Jews in the Soviet Union would gather in the evenings with family and trusted friends to share vivid and moving stories of hardship, poverty, and anti-Semitism. Life wasn't easy back then, given the hostility toward the Jewish community and the constant pressures of being a persecuted minority. Amidst this backdrop, however, there were moments of levity and laughter as people shared well-rehearsed jokes and polished punchlines to a mirror-like finish. In this spirit, I'd like to share a bit of Soviet Jewish humor, noting that many of these types of jokes, called anekdot in Russian, were delivered with wildly gesticulating hands as a lament, much like Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, when he asked God, "So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune?" This type of gallows humor was par for the course there. Yet many jokes of the time describe tales of a mythical person named Avram Rabinovich. I'll ask our tech team to show a picture of him, really a drawing or sketch, on the screen. And what was Rabinovich's specialty? Outwitting Soviet officials. Once, Avram Rabinovich applied for membership in the Communist Party. As one would expect, he was required to answer a few questions. The official asked, "Who is Karl Marx?" Rabinovich replied, "I don't know." Raising his eyebrows in surprise, the official continued, "What about Lenin?" Rabinovich said, "Sorry, I don't know him either." The official then asked, "Well, what about Leonid Brezhnev?" Shrugging his shoulders, Rabinovich answered, "Never heard of the guy." The official then asked, "Rabinovich, are you playing games with me? This is serious." "Not at all," he said. Then he asked the official a question of his own. "Do you know Herschel Salzburg?" The official answered, "Of course not." Then Rabinovich asked, "What about Nahum Davidovich?" The official replied, "No." "Well," said Rabinovich, "I guess that's the way it goes. You've got your friends, and I've got mine." This exact joke came to mind exactly when I was watching Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's final press conference yesterday. Why? Because he could have used some friends of his own in the State Department's briefing room. For he was brazenly heckled not once, but twice by pro-Palestinian journalists. Now, as a public speaker, a public figure who's worked diligently toward reaching a hostage ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, Blinken is well familiar with such outbursts. After all, anything Israel-related is a very hot-button issue. But he probably didn't envision the following scene at his retirement speech. Because one of the journalists, Max Blumenthal, who, as you might surmise, is Jewish, bitingly asked Blinken, "So how does it feel to have your legacy be genocide?" Now that's pretty harsh. But the other journalist went further. His name was Sam Husseini, shouting out loudly to Blinken, "Criminal, why aren't you in The Hague?" as he was being physically removed from the briefing room by 3 or 4 security officers. And for good measure, Max Blumenthal was also ousted from the press room. But to his credit, Secretary Blinken remained largely unfazed and continued on with his prepared remarks and even answered questions from the press after the dust settled, of course. I guess it's like Rabinovich said, "You've got your friends, and I've got mine." So here we are, after more than a year of stalled negotiations, representatives from Israel and Hamas signed a multi-stage hostage ceasefire deal that will go effect this Sunday. Earlier today, in a flurry of activity, Israel's Security Cabinet voted to approve the deal to end the fighting in Gaza, and just hours ago, Israel's governing body, the Knesset, has ratified the deal. At long last, some positive news regarding the release of Israeli hostages. For 15 plus months, Jewish communities around the world, along with countless others who support Israel, have held the hostages in our hearts and prayers. At every Kabbalat Shabbat service, we've asked God to shelter these precious souls alongside the brave soldiers of the IDF who keep our Jewish homeland and her citizens secure. Every hostage or ceasefire deal made with a terrorist organization is, by its very nature, fraught with uncertainty. That being said, we should embrace this deal as a ray of hope. In this brutal war of attrition against Hamas, it's a positive step forward that may well lead to a more lasting peace. Yesterday, families of the hostages, along with bereaved families, met with Israeli President Isaac Herzog to express their support of the deal. You'll see right here a heartwarming image of this gathering. After offering words of comfort to all those gathered, Herzog noted that this agreement is an essential element of Israel's national resilience and reflects our values of mutual responsibility and unity. Throughout the hostage ordeal, at least in my opinion, President Herzog has led the country with strength of character, compassion, and menschlichkeit. In the statement, he was referring to the Jewish obligation to redeem the captive, called Pidyon Shivuim in Hebrew. The sages of the Talmud considered this a mitzvah hagadol, meaning a great mitzvah. Our tradition has long viewed unjust imprisonment and captivity as a fate far worse than starvation. Following the initial ceasefire agreement in 2023, we unfortunately learned a great deal about the harrowing conditions that Israeli hostages have had to endure. One hostage who was released, Moran Seliyanai, spoke about the lasting toll of the ordeal on her mind and her body. And she recounted the vicious cruelty of her captors, who seemed to value death far more than life. Without a doubt, this deal with Hamas will be painful because it will require Israel to release at least 1,000 terrorists, including well over 100 currently serving life sentences in prison. Nevertheless, the agreement over a many-week span will allow 33 hostages to return to their families over the next 6 weeks, which will surely be a blessing. Shalom Aleichem, the Russian Jewish humorist, playwright, and writer, once remarked, "This can be an ugly and mean world, and only to spite it, we mustn't weep. If you want to know, this is the constant source of my good spirit, of my humor, not to cry out of spite, only to laugh out of spite, only to laugh." I'll ask, there he is, great picture of Shalom Aleichem. Love those circular glasses. Now, Shalom Aleichem was actually born Shalom Rabinovich. He was born to a rich merchant family, though obviously there's no relation to the mythical Rabinovich I was speaking of before. At the age of 15, his father's business venture failed, which plunged the family into poverty. So he too grew up with hard knocks. In fact, many great leaders have emerged from the crucible of hard times. The Reverend Dr. King Jr. faced many challenges. I'll ask our tech team to put a nice picture of him on the screen. Growing up in the South, he was subjected to racism on a regular basis. His father, also a pastor, would sometimes whip him at home. During the Civil Rights Movement, King Jr. encountered numerous legal obstacles, violent attacks, and resistance from many quarters. He was arrested more than 20 times for his protests. His house was bombed, and he faced many death threats along with his family. Moreover, many African Americans became disenchanted over time with his gradual and nonviolent approach to improving their lives in America. And sadly, he paid the ultimate price for the social justice work on behalf of his brothers and sisters. MLK was brought into a life of public service as a young man in Alabama. And he assumed the prophetic mantle of leadership during the Montgomery bus boycott. God called to him as an outsider to lead his people to the promised land of freedom. Much akin to biblical Moses, our greatest prophet, who made his stand after witnessing an Egyptian taskmaster abuse an Israelite slave. After striking the taskmaster down, Moses fled from the Pharaoh's palace and settled in Midian, where he encountered Jethro, his future wife Zipporah, and the famous bush that was not consumed by fire. Later, Moses returned to the palace like MLK as an outsider, but now speaking on behalf of his people, the Israelites. King's transformational leadership was grounded in the idea that God loves us, that God acts justly, and that God shows concern for the poor and the oppressed. In many ways, his call for basic human dignity mirrored the epic story of the Exodus, a narrative of liberation that continues to speak to many groups the world over, including the citizens of Israel. Israel won't give up until all 98 hostages, living or deceased, are returned from captivity. Until then, may this agreement serve as a beacon of hope in a challenging world and bring a measure of healing to Israel and the entire Jewish world. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with the words of Aleinu, the adoration. You'll find the words of Aleinu on 282 in your prayer books. Any teens, young adults want to join us on the bima to help open the ark? I'll invite you to come forward. Really, anybody of any age like to come forward. We've got Drew. Bill's coming up too. Well done. Feel free to be seated. We'll turn to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, words of praise on 294. Thinking first about families observing Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning their loved one. We think of families who lost loved ones in the California fires, in Israel and Gaza, and the following individuals from our congregation: Eva Nove, mother of Judy Brevoort; L. Bruce Greenberg, brother of Jeff Greenberg; Herb Bloom, husband of Barbara Bloom; and Yusef Ziadne and Hamza Ziadne, two of the Israeli hostages killed about 10 days or so ago. To these names, we mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of loved ones, remembering on this Shabbat Lowell Aronoff, Cameron Baber, Hannah Baker, Murray Becker, Mary Bahar, Adrian Curiel, Robert Edelman, Judy Flansbaum, Hugo Freudenthal, Scott Friedman, John Guerin, Irving Grant, William Harris, David Harris, Molly Klein, Jennifer Conda, Lori Landis, William Manis, Ruben Markowitz, Jack Moskowitz, Melvin Myers, Hilda Pascal, Lena Ritchie, Rita Rose, Harold Rosenberg, Leonard Samuels, May Saxonoff, Francisco Scheel, Mildred Skolnick, Jenny Secundi, Rosalind Stein, Edith Weiss, Jacob Weiss, Sarah Deinhardt Weibel, Seema Rivkin Zimmerman, and Paul Zelinsky. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit at this time, please? We say, Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in their family and loved ones' lives as we rise to offer these words of praise together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru, Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lamei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yoma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Imru, Amen. Osei Shalom Birmomav, Huya Asei Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, Imru, Amen. And the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and throughout the world, as we say, Amen.
V'miru, 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 Amen. V'miru, 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 Amen.
Feel free to be seated. Pleasure to call forward two individuals representing our temple leadership. First, David Bild, followed by our temple president, Paula Rosoff, who will share a special announcement about our upcoming 50th. Thank you. You go
first. Shabbat Shalom. Many thanks to Rabbi Matt, Allison, and Joy for a beautiful service. And along with our tech team, Barbara, Ed, and the greeters, Saul, Phoebe, and David. Support of the JWI's I Support Girls initiative this month by donating bras and hygiene products for the Pinellas County homeless shelters to our collection box that's located in the lobby. Rabbi Matt's next Torah service class will be Tuesday, January 28th at 1 p.m. In person and online. Join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for our Shabbat morning minyan led by Dr. Ron Gilbert, followed by breakfast sponsored by the Brotherhood. RSVP for an important presentation on the situational awareness Sunday, January 26th at 12:45 with John Murtaugh, Synagogue Community Network's Regional Security Advisor. It includes lunch, also sponsored by the Brotherhood. The last slide in tonight's service will feature a QR code linked to the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles Wildfire Crisis Relief Fund. Please, if you can, take a look at that. My sister's out there in that area and has said that the devastation is traumatic. Following the service, please join us in the social hall for our Oneg Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, and now Paula, our president, will say some words.
Thank you, David. Last week, we had a little blurb added to the announcements that is now printed in your pamphlet. And we wanted it printed because myself and my two co-chairs of this momentous event, our Jubilee Gala, Susan Herron and Arlene Lowett, we felt that we wanted to take turns each Friday night and come and talk to you from the heart about this event. So I'm starting it off. I'll start with the Shabbat Shalom. My name is Paula Rosoff. I am the president of our congregation. My late husband Jay and I moved to Clearwater 49 years ago with 2 9-month-old babies in tow. And the first thing we did when we got here was join a brand new infant congregation called Temple Avat Shalom that had just been birthed from B'nai Israel because they were overflowing their membership. And they saw the need in North Pinellas, which was booming in growth at that time. And so we joined. At the time, Temple Avat Shalom met at what was the Ramada Inn. I think it was 580 and 19. And we had maybe bi-weekly or monthly meetings with a rent-a-rabbi until we finally were able to rent a permanent space and hire a rabbi. Well, fast forward 50 years, and a lot has changed in North Pinellas County. The area has grown, the roads are tremendous, they're congested. So much has happened in this area. However, what's remained a constant shining star in North Pinellas County is Temple Avat Shalom. We've been in this location since the early 80s, and we've grown since then. What you're sitting in, our beautiful sanctuary, was added in the 90s, and here we are today. We've serviced hundreds and hundreds of Jewish families. We've bar mitzvahed thousands of children. Our rabbis have married, hundreds of couples. We've baby named and did brit milahs for hundreds of babies. It's really been, the beacon of the Jewish community in North Pinellas County. And of course, as a Reformed congregation, our doors are open to everybody. So I want to encourage everyone, whether you're brand new or you've been here a long time and said, been here, done there, or you're brand new and you don't really know anyone yet, this is a momentous occasion, 50 years of a Jubilee celebration. You don't want to miss it. We have planned for you a fabulous weekend. On your page here, March 7th and 8th. March 7th will be the Friday night service like this, except beforehand we'll have a cocktail hour with all kinds of goodies and a special section for children. Children will be involved in our service that night. We want all the families to come join us, and afterwards will be a spectacular Oneg Shabbat with music. That's Friday night, free to the whole congregation, of course. And then Saturday night we have a gala, a catered gala at Ardea Country Club. Everyone should have received their invitations by now. In case you haven't, please let me know or call Kara first thing Monday morning. But please get those responses back. I can tell you that Ardea cannot house all of us. There is limited seating there, and we're hoping that as many people as possible, that we can fill it up to the rafters. It will be a fabulous, momentous occasion with all of us celebrating everything that we've had to celebrate over the last 50 years. So with the Oneg, if you have any questions, please come up to me. But again, we'd love to see you all there, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Paula, for speaking from your heart. It's going to be an awesome weekend, and some birthday celebrations that weekend as well. Let's continue now with the Shabbat Kiddush. You'll find the words on page 5. Blessing for the fruit of the vine.
Baruch
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'avahu v'ratzon, hinvilanu, zikaron lema'aseh b'reishit, ihu yom tehillah, l'mikrahe kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, Yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, hinkaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim, to life. I think Tevye said that too, in song. 10 pieces of challah. Anyone want to join me, regardless of your age? We have enough for 8. Because Allison and I get 1 each. And Drew and Abby get 4 each. No. Just 1. Amotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Tevon, enjoy. Thanks for leading us in the Motzi. Yasher Koach to you. All right, our closing song. You really only get to sing this maybe a couple times a year, certainly during Passover. That's a definite for sure. But also when we get around to the book of Exodus. Let my people go. Israel was in Egypt's land. Let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh Thus said the Lord, but Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. The Lord told Moses what to do. Let my people go to lead the Hebrew children through. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Beautiful sermon.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joy.